Welcome to another episode of Sugar-Free Self-Care TV. This is my favorite series ever because I get to talk to my favorite people in the world. These are the clients. These are badass women who went through my program, and I just want to take time to share their story and help them just talk to you about what they went through, what it was like for them to go through my program, and just their personal experience of what it's like going through with their own wellness journey and how they overcame their own challenges. So I'm so excited to have here Milena. She is amazing. Not only did she go through the program, but she's also a badass entrepreneur and business owner, multiple business owner. But before we get started, Milena, I'd love to have you just share a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Charmaine. So my name is Milena, and I'm in Canada, in Ontario, Canada. And I run two businesses currently. So I'm a graphic designer and I run my own studio virtually, and I work with some people virtually in that. And my main services there are branding and web design. And then my other business, I actually run partnered with my husband, and we run a martial arts school. And that's a brick and mortar building here in Kemptville, Ontario, Canada. And we have about 160 students right now, and we're looking to expand. And we offer Muay Thai primarily. So we teach Thai boxing. So it's a busy life between the two businesses, but one is like my day job and one's like my evening job. So I'm working at the computer all day, and then I'm physically in the gym at night.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible. And guys, like, you don't want to mess with her. She is a badass. She's a fighter, man. She's strong. So, and she teaches other women also with the Muay Thai, right?
Yeah. We do women only classes, but in addition to that, we actually started doing a women's self-defense series. So it's not the sport of Muay Thai. It's like real life defensive situations, preventing being targeted, like on the street, and things like that. So everyday kind of applicable stuff.
Oh my gosh, I need to talk to you about that. That is so cool.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Oh dang, we gotta do
Very
another
empowering
episode on that. Yeah. I love that. Just empowering women. But that's amazing. Like, thanks for doing what you're doing. And I'd love for you, because that schedule sounds pretty full. Like, basically you're on the computer all day, you're at the gym at night. So I'd love for you to sort of kind of share a little bit about what was going on with you in your life. Like, what were you experiencing before you joined the Impulse Mastery program? What was that like? What were you going through?
Yeah, our lives are nuts. Not just because of the work and the businesses, but because we also began fostering children last year. So in addition to, reserving time to take kids into our home, and then we travel a lot for the gym as well for competitions. So we're often doing road trips. We have very, very little time for ourselves and to rest. So that's our priority going into this year, is rest. But as you can imagine, we were very much burnt out most of the time. We like to work hard, play hard. So our lifestyle is very fast, very intense. Luckily, my husband and I have a very balanced, compatible relationship that, we're on solid ground there, regardless of how wild our day-to-day lives may be. But it was stressful the last couple of years, especially through COVID. I mean, I think everybody has endured a higher degree of stress just because of COVID, no matter what they do in life. But for us, especially having to close our gym and open it 4 times throughout 4 different lockdowns. Yeah.
Oh, dang, I did not know that.
Yeah. And we were closed more than we were open in those 2 years that COVID really hit us with the lockdown. So, trying to keep that business afloat was stressful because we had to be creative and come up with ways to deliver services on a dime and not lose our members. But we made it, we got through, but now it's like fast-paced life. Everyone wants to come back to normal, and we just had to hit the ground running and just, think on our feet for the most part. Coming into the program, I felt quite depleted. I felt like not just the businesses, but myself, I'm kind of like a little lost in life. I don't know what my next chapter will be. And I was losing a sense of self a little bit before I came into the program. And I think I didn't know how to coach myself through it. And I also had been struggling with diet. I'd been kind of self-diagnosed addicted to sugar for as long as I could remember, and didn't quite know how to get past that without some professional guidance. And so I wasn't really looking for this type of coach until Charmaine kind of fell into my lap, so to speak. And I met her in another environment. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I could really benefit from this woman's expertise. And then the more I read about the program online before I joined, the more like checked all the boxes on my list, especially the parts that spoke to me about getting over impulses. Because I didn't see that as just the sugar cravings and the addiction to sugar. I saw that as impulses to eat unnecessarily, like snack throughout the day, impulses to eat after I'm full, impulses to indulge, at every opportunity, desserts, treats, things like that. And like food, I hadn't known this at the time, but I came to know that food I was treating as a reward system for myself because it was a source of joy for me. Food has always been a source of joy, as it is for so many people. But I didn't know what I didn't know then. And the amount I've learned in the program is just, it's life-changing since from then to now in just those 3 months. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Just first of all, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Just like, oh, and I'm so curious though, because I know you're mentioning that you're feeling you had a long time addiction to sugar, and you had been feeling you'd had this relationship with food for a while. And I'm curious, like what was that like? Like how do you define sugar addiction? Like, I know you said you self-diagnosed yourself, but how did you define that?
Yeah. So just not being able to say no. And not only, maybe even a step further, not knowing no was an option. Because I never considered turning down sugar. If an opportunity arises, even just walking through a shopping mall and seeing like an ice cream shop, I had to go in. I felt like there was no other option. And even if I hadn't been thinking about sugar or craving sugar in that moment, just seeing it or noticing it, I needed to have it in that moment. Yeah. Right. And in social situations, should sugar come out, be displayed, be presented, it was never an option for me to walk away or to decline. It was always something that I told myself, well, it wasn't even really a cognizant thought. It was just, I want this. It tastes good. It's going to make me feel good. I'm going to have it.
Right. Right.
So there wasn't a lot of intelligent thought process going on. It was just, this is what we do. We eat the sugar.
Right. It's just like, oh, there it is. Let's go eat it. Like, you don't even realize, it's so crazy how you're explaining, like, you don't even realize there's like a choice there. It's just so automatic.
It was incredibly automatic. And that's kind of what scared me, because it felt completely out of power, out of control. Yeah. And then trying to gain control in other areas of my life, I realized this was one area where I was consistently slipping. And I knew I couldn't do it alone anymore, because my brain had not expanded into that realm of unknown yet.
Right. And what have you tried that when you said you were trying to change your relationship with food, like, have you tried other things?
Yes. So I tried doing, cold turkey on my own. It worked for a little bit before our wedding 3 years ago. And I was 29, 30. And my body was different then. And I saw results immediately. And they also stayed longer. So I didn't have to undergo a lot of diet changes then. Like, my metabolism was higher. I was able to drop weight quicker. And I also didn't need to exercise a lot of discipline. I lived in the gym every day. And so I felt like, well, as long as I can go back to finding that kind of balance, like work out a lot, eat whatever I want, maybe try to cut down the sugar and the desserts a little bit, but not completely. And then I can get to where I want to be. Well, it wasn't working anymore. The formula did not equate.
Right. Right. Like, working out so much just wasn't working anymore.
No, I mean, yes, I love being physically active, but the time it would have taken to balance out the diet that I was sustaining, it wasn't sustainable. I didn't have the hours in the day. And I found myself resenting having to go to the gym just to negate what I had eaten. You know, I have to earn the calories, or I have to burn the calories I just ate. It was a very guilt-ridden lifestyle.
Right. It sounds horrible.
Yeah,
to go to the gym that way, and you're spending so much time there, and it's all dreadful.
Too much time, not happy time. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I look forward to going to the gym. I look forward to working out. It was, I have to go. And if I don't, I'm going to suffer the consequences. It was almost like a scary quota I had to fill.
Mm-hmm. Like what kind of consequences do you think?
Yeah, gaining weight. Like if I don't
Mm-hmm.
go to the gym, this is going to show up in weight gain, what I ate, or my skin's going to break out, or I'm going to feel bloat, or any number of things that may or may not have been scientifically accurate, but I was telling myself, if I don't go to the gym, the cake that I ate 2 nights ago, I have to do something about that, you know, like I have to work it off.
Right. Right. It sounds like a lot of guilt, like just like, oh, I can't have that, you know, unless I work my ass off at the
That's
gym.
the thing, not having it wasn't an option yet. So I was still allowing
Mm.
myself, giving myself everything I wanted, but now it came with this price. I have to now put in the work at the gym, and it's not happy work.
Right. Like you could only enjoy that food if you pay a price.
Yeah.
Ooh, oh man. Yeah. Definitely know what that's like. Just especially I feel like people with a fitness background, especially too, like we I don't know, we have this inclination of like, oh, we can there's this also this almost this social conditioning too in the workout world and fitness world too of like, oh, you could eat whatever you want as long as you work out a lot. Like I feel like that's really prevalent there. But yeah, tell us like so what impact was it having in your life to have this relationship with food? Like how did you know you needed to change?
Yeah, I needed to change when my old tricks stopped working.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
So my body changed, my
Mm-hmm.
metabolism changed, and I wasn't getting the results that I was used to getting from making little micro changes to my diet or just working out a little bit more. It just wasn't working anymore. I wasn't getting the results. I was kind of stuck at a weight. I wasn't dipping below that no matter what I did. And I
Mm-hmm.
just I didn't feel healthy. I didn't feel like I was at my peak physical ability where I expected I should be at this age. And I wasn't proud of how I was eating either. I still didn't know going into this program how to say no. And I didn't know that was the main thing that I would be working on. I really didn't know what I didn't know yet. I just knew something was missing and that this couldn't be it. This couldn't be just the way I was going to live out my days. It had to be
Right.
better. Yeah.
Right. Oh man, I mean, I love you and I really wanted to acknowledge you for having that awareness that something needs to change and doing something about like acting on that. That is amazing. That takes a lot of courage. And I'm curious, so let's go to like where you are now, like after the program, and then we're gonna go into how you made those changes. But
Yeah.
what has changed for you like since doing the program? Like it's 3 months. What was the biggest changes and shifts that you have now that you notice?
Like, my goodness, where to begin? Everywhere, like literally every area of my life has changed since this program that I thought would really only help me to drop the 10 pounds that I couldn't seem to lose. It was so much more than that. I now know how to say no to sugars and desserts and foods that aren't serving me without having a complete inner meltdown.
Oh my God, I love that.
So in another way, I know how to parent my inner child. So I
Mm.
have some very, very, very important tools for doing that. And that was probably the biggest psychological thing that I gained from the course was parenting the inner child. I think number one, if you know how to do that, you can pretty much overcome anything. It's completely transferable to any challenge in life. And after that, everything else came pretty easily. So that was the biggest hurdle, was getting over the emotional pain of telling myself no, and having those hard, fast rules at the beginning of there will be no sugar, there will be no processed carbs and certain foods, right? That ultimately weren't adding nutrition and benefit to my diet. So once we cut those out, and alcohol was a big one too, there was a lot of inner turmoil. There was a lot of angst that came out, and then learning through the coaching step by step how to meet that and coach myself through the tantrums, the pushback, the heartbreak, the panic, the stress.
It's a lot.
It was hard. It was hard, but it was a hard lesson that with your help, I was able to overcome and learn how to handle that. And now that's a lesson I have for life. So that's the biggest thing for sure. Because now I can tell myself, even though there's peer pressure situations, especially with drinking with alcohol, especially if you're going to a restaurant where there's a set menu and you feel like you don't have as many options, I now know how to coach myself through those situations. So there's very few roadblocks anymore that I don't know how to confront to keep myself successful in my own sense. But then physically, I started to feel incredible. So like cardio through the roof. And I can kind of measure myself easier than a lot of people because I go to the gym every day. Mm-hmm. And I know what performance my body is used to outputting. When I started outputting, oh my gosh, so much more energy, fading less fast, you know, because it's Muay Thai, it's striking, right. It's very, very high
all
intensity.
Cardio, right?
It's all cardio.
It's tiring. Uh-huh.
Yeah. When I noticed that, oh my gosh, I got through an hour-long class and I can stay and do another hour, I'm not tired yet. That was a big shifting moment for me where it's like, usually I'm dying by the end of the 60-minute class and can't wait to get home and eat because food is my reward.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want to go home. I'm going to stay and do another class. And I'm going to feel so good that I can go home and I can start my fast. I don't have to eat because that wasn't the plan, right? Because if I, started fasting, that was something else that I started introducing that has gotten easier. Whereas, in the past, there was a lot of like internal pushback around that. But yeah, so physically, emotionally, psychologically, I just feel like I hit a baseline where I'm like more peaceful now than I was, or I've just like shot through the roof of potential. Like my energy is just in a place where I've never been before and didn't know was possible.
Right. It's so crazy. It's like when you start eating less of those foods, like eating less sugar and processed carbs, you really see how much energy you have just from your own body. Like you don't necessarily need to eat. And you could even fast after the workout, which that blew my mind too. Cause as an athlete myself, like not having to eat before or after or just all the time, like was kind of crazy, even if you're so active,
Yes. And then another thing was gauging hunger. So learning through the program how to gauge my hunger accurately and honestly allowed me to fast more effectively because I wasn't just sticking to the normal routine of I go home and I eat after training. It's I go home, am I hungry? No? Okay, so we fast. So no big deal. And it's
wow.
I take a lot of emotion out of it, a lot of any negativity around telling myself I'm not eating tonight. Any kind of like panic that would have arisen from that is dissipated now. It's different. It's a different feeling. It's almost like before going into this program, I was telling you that being able to give myself any food I wanted, any food I craved at any point in time was my form of empowerment. It was like self-empowerment. It was I'm feeding myself and I'm the boss of me. That has completely changed now into a different form of just as powerful, if not more powerful form of self-empowerment. That is, I've got me and I trust me to make healthy decisions for myself, even if that means not eating right now.
Oh, wow. That is so powerful though. Cause I know that was a really ingrained thought for you, right? With the whole, cause eating whatever I want is my form of empowerment, but we also know that it wasn't creating the results you were wanting in your life too.
That's right. So there was this contradicting set of desires. I was not in alignment where a very strong, deeply ingrained part of me equated food with being independent and being able to take care of myself and security. And then another part of me knew the food was holding me back. I knew it. I knew that the sugar was not helping me get to where I wanted to be. And that was like my higher brain. My higher brain was like, I know what's going on. I don't have all the puzzle pieces yet, but I know something's not right and I need to fix this.
Right. Right. And I love that you're able to distinguish there are two pieces of your brain. There is the one that wants all the sugar all the time, but there also you have that higher version of yourself, that higher brain that was the reason why you joined the program, and it's a version of you that knew that something wasn't quite right, that knew that you wanted change. And it's so amazing. It's just amazing to hear you kind of sharing like all the different changes you made. Like sugar isn't just this thing, like you don't have to eat it when you see it. Like you have so much more energy, and also even with hunger, because that could be really scary for a lot of people to feel hunger, but it sounds like it's not even like panicky to you, and it's not even like it can almost be like life or death sometimes, I feel like, with hunger. But I love that it's just much more relaxed, like much more grounded, and it sounds like a lot more confident around your relationship with food, and a lot of self-trust.
Yes.
Like.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I came from an upbringing of food scarcity. So there wasn't always 3 meals a day. There wasn't always food in the house. And we weren't always parented all the time. We were left to ourselves for a lot of the time. And growing up with that foundation has very much taught me that if there is no food, there's real danger. And that's why I got so much of a dopamine hit by going out and buying my own food when I had the ability to. And it was like my first step into self-empowerment as an adult, was being able to buy food for myself and to feed myself. But I was never taught the proper ways of healthy eating. I just ate whatever I felt like eating. And so it was very much from a childlike brain that I was still feeding myself into my late 20s.
Right. And I'm curious, like, how did you make that shift, like during the program, like that shift from what you learned as a child to sort of reparenting yourself? Like what was it that you learned that help you get on the step to changing that? Because that's a pretty big, that could be a hard thing to let go of. I mean, if you feel safe around food, especially with the food scarcity and your situation growing up, how did you start making those steps?
Small, manageable steps with grace for slippage.
Right. Yes,
Not
lots of grace.
100% perfection.
Yes.
But definitely with the help of a coach. Like, there's a reason why I didn't feel like I could do this alone. And that was because I didn't have the tools yet. So I needed the coach to teach me the tools to be able to take those manageable steps, so that I didn't get overwhelmed by trying to do too much too fast and then fail and then quit and not want to start over. We progressed at what I thought was a very fair pace. And what I had to do was difficult, but the more ingrained something is, the belief, the reaction set, the harder it's going to be to rewire. And it took time, but it took the 3 months, probably from day one to the last day, for me to complete my rewiring. And I'm still working on it. It still takes work, but now I have the tools. So now I know how to recognize prompts and triggers, and I know how to get through a craving. I still follow the same cycle that we were given. And I also know how to recognize my emotions easier. So I know if I'm eating from a place of emotional need or stress or fatigue. So how did I do it? It was really just one step at a time, with the help of a really good coach and positive reinforcement every step of the way. Even if I slipped, being helped back up and, being set back on the right path, and having grace for myself to know that I'm not just practicing discipline. I'm not just working through a program. I'm getting to know myself again. I'm reparenting that inner child and really looking deep and saying, why do you really feel that way? Asking really deep questions, things that I've never talked about with a therapist before, came up in this program because you pulled it out of me. And I did not expect that, but man, was it transformative. So yeah, it's doable. If it's doable for me, it's doable for anyone. I can say that.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, and kudos to you too for just being willing to be coached, and for being willing, because digging in is not comfortable. Like just sort of looking at, right, like looking at all the maybe traumas or things in our childhood, that all the uncomfortable situations we've been in, all the thought patterns that have been sort of keeping us in the same loop, like it's not comfortable to change that because the brain doesn't want to change it. But I really do want to acknowledge you for being willing and open to receive the coaching, and also take action on that, like being willing to make those differences, like make those steps, like apply the tools you learn. Like it's one thing to get coaching, but I loved about you that you really received the coaching and you made the changes, like you started implementing things. And I love that you said you did it with grace too, because a lot of the clients I work with and a lot of entrepreneurs, we're very hard on ourselves. Like a lot of us are perfectionists. A lot of us are super ambitious. We're like cray, we're like go-getter. And like that like messes us up sometimes. Like it can be.
It does.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I love that you had this so much more this ability, this relationship with yourself where like it sounds like a lot more compassion and a lot more willingness to just listen to yourself, like listen to your emotional needs, just sort of care for yourself, like give yourself the attention that maybe your inner child wasn't getting.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, that. I had to just step outside my body and look at my reactions as if there were an actual child in the room. Mm-hmm. And think that's an overreaction to not being given dessert. You know what I mean? Right. Like if you had a toddler next to you and they were crying because you told them they couldn't have dessert, that's essentially what was going on in my body.
Right. It's crazy how, we get those, we still react like the toddler. And if we've never learned how to cope, not getting things our way or not getting what we want, right? Like if we never learned that, we're still going to react that way.
Yes, exactly. I still remember the very first time I did a grocery run after the program started. And I was really, really good in the grocery store. I had my list. I didn't buy anything that wasn't on my shopping list. And so it was everything within the program. And I'd plan my meals. And then I was driving home and I parked in my driveway and I just started crying. Like all of these tears just came out of this deep place in me. And I realized this is big. Like this is a big change. Because for the first time, it was like the adult had the wheel. Mm-hmm. The kid wasn't driving the shopping cart anymore, putting in whatever they wanted, whatever would make them feel good. And so that felt like self-abandonment on a very deep level. It felt like scary, uncharted territory. Now I have to trust someone else and I have to trust my higher intelligent brain, but she doesn't really know what she's doing yet. She's learning, right? So it's like, okay, I'm passing off the wheel from a place where we've been gripping on for 29, 30 years and it's kept us safe. Now we're going to pass it to someone else who's just learning to drive. It's like really scary. Like really scary. And I didn't have my comforts. I didn't have my creature comforts. I didn't have the foods that normally made me feel good. But that was like when I knew it was serious. And that's when I knew I needed help, was to have that kind of reaction. Then I was able to step outside my body and look at myself and say, holy crap, that's not normal. I'm in the right place.
Right. Yeah, definitely taking a step back and just looking at our patterns and looking at what we're doing is so powerful, and having that awareness and yes, and letting our higher self take the wheel, like letting ourselves, like our higher self drive, even if we're new at it, like you learned how to navigate it, and you're like stepping into that woman more and more each day and really embodying that person now.
True. That's true.
Yeah, definitely not having tantrums anymore. It sounds like
no more tantrums. Maybe like a bit of a dark cloud every once in a while. Like I'm not perfect yet, still very new, but I feel like other skills that I've gained that are more consistently being used are the planning. The meal planning is very much still in place. The mindful shopping, where I won't buy something if I don't want to eat it, because I'll pass candy, I'll pass the chocolate, and I'll see it on sale and be like, okay, that's insane. I can't pass that up. And then I think, wait, can I? And I'm giving myself options I didn't have before, or that I didn't know I had. Whereas I don't have to buy the candy. I don't have to buy the chocolate, even if it is on sale. Like, there's an option,
Oh my
'Cause I
gosh.
know if I bring it into the house, it's just going to be staring at me and I will eventually eat it. And then what are we doing, right? Like we're just going into the wrong loop. I want to get into that healthy loop.
Right. Right. And I'm just curious, because I'm sure other people are thinking about this, but when you did start eating less sugar, like a lot of people are concerned their lives are going to be maybe more dull or not as exciting. And I'm curious for you, like, what have you noticed with yourself when it comes to having joy with less of the sugar or less of the dopamine hits? Has it, what are your thoughts on like that nowadays?
I think I'm very privileged in that I surround myself with people who live very much in the new meal plan kind of way of life. Like the people that I hang out with, my friends, my family, my husband, they're not big sugar people. So I think the people you surround yourself with is so helpful. It's just like a smoker trying to quit smoking. Like if you just hang around people who smoke all day, it's going to be almost impossible to quit. Luckily, as soon as I started saying no to sugar, I realized when I looked around, I was the only one saying yes to sugar that I know. Like maybe my sisters and my mom would have been an exception, but I've exercised my power over that social circle, and so I'm better there now. But for the most part, in the gym environment, everyone's trying to live their best, healthiest life. So you don't see a lot of sugar come through there. And then those people, we go out to dinner, they're all eating healthy. It's very easy to skip dessert. It's very easy to order, non-carb meals or more veggie-based meals than people that eat fast food every day. Like, you're gonna go where the pack takes you. And I think amalgamating yourself into a group of people that you ultimately want to live up to that lifestyle is going to help you significantly on your way. But also not drinking was so much easier than I thought it would be. I also had a little tantrum moment. I remember sitting on the couch and rereading the initial list we got about the foods we should be cutting out in the first 30 days, and alcohol was on that list. And I thought, I don't remember seeing this. It almost like it hit me as a surprise, like after the fact. I'm like, I can't drink alcohol. And then sure enough, it never became an issue. It was just never an issue.
Oh, wow.
I was never actually offered alcohol. Of course, I think a step that really helped was telling my friends and family what I was about to do so that they never even offered. They never even tempted, brought it home with me. It wasn't really a big hurdle. But that was one big surprise for me, was being able to say no to alcohol. Also, we're so lucky that there's so many alternatives out there, non-alcoholic beers and wines and whatnot. But it was easier than I thought it would be. But yes, I think for the most part, prefacing like your journey to everyone who's like a significant influence on your life, your friends, your family, your spouse, your kids, your best friends, letting them know that you're serious about this, what you're going to need from them. I did a video series and sent it to my whole family so they could see how serious I was when I talked about it. See my face. I was actually like chopping vegetables as I said it for like added effect. I'm like, look at how healthy I am. I'm already eating vegetables. Like it was just funny. Yeah.
Oh, dang. You're really like, this is my life now, everyone. This is who I am.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. And that really makes it real. Yeah.
They were respectful for sure. In fact, like every time I've been to a family dinner since, my mom is very happy to point out the options that are on my meal plan. Like, we prepared this for you. Instead of potatoes, we got roasted veggies, and like she's very, very good at that. And I think anyone would be surprised to see how much other people want to rally with them and support them through an especially hard undertaking.
Right. Yeah. And I just love seeing this, how you've grown in that way. Just being this woman who's very like, you're voicing your needs, like you're being very clear in your relationships. Like it's not just being able to set boundaries and say no to food, but you were able to transfer that with your relationships, like just being clear with people of what you wanted, what your needs were, even with your husband, and just being very clear with people. Like it's like you evolved into this version of yourself who's very confident and honors herself, like without compromising her own needs. And I know we worked on that and it's still like growing, but you've definitely shifted that, like
Yep.
being that person, which is amazing. And it can be scary to tell your family or your partner or your friends like what you want, but I love that you own that. You really took that in. You're like, you know what, this is what I'm needing, and I want you guys to respect that. You know, it takes a lot of self-worth to do that. You know.
Yeah, true. That's very true. And you were right when you touched on the type of growth that I've attained just through the eating aspect, like the food aspect of my life has really transferred to all aspects of my life, and being able to assert myself without guilt because I now know what I want to become. I now have that vision that I never had before. I didn't know what the potential was, but now that I've felt it and I've seen it, I don't want to operate on a lower level anymore. And that can translate into the health of your relationships and, you know, what good you want to do in the world. And, you know, the things you want to learn next. It's very empowering to overcome something you just didn't have the tools to overcome before, but you went out and you taught yourself with the help of some very good people. Takes a village.
Right. Oh, for sure.
But it opens up doors of possibility, right? Like now I can do anything. I can teach myself how to perform self-defense, and then I can teach that to other women. And, you know, I can travel the world 3 times a year. Like I can work less. Like there's just lots of things that, depending on who you are as a person, you just never know what your potential is until someone shows you.
Right. Right. And I'm just like so proud of you for taking that chance on yourself, for being willing to invest and just like see what your potential is, and for being willing to seek out that support. And I'm curious, like, if there is anyone on the fence, like anyone who is thinking about joining, but she's maybe like nervous, maybe she thinks that she won't be able to succeed, what would you share with that person?
I mean, I can think of a lot of people in my life right now who are in that position. And I think just leading by example, they can see, you know, the transformation I've undertaken and know that it's possible, even though I had so many things stacked up against me going in. But, you know, if the hesitation is, I don't believe in excuses anymore. I just don't.
Oh, I love that. No excuses.
If you really want change, it's gonna hurt. It's not gonna be comfortable. But if you're ready for that, then just walk forward. Just start, because changes begin at day 1. I can verify that. There will be changes on day 1.
Right.
And then that is enough. If you just learn one thing from this whole program, that's enough. But like every week when we had our calls, there was some kind of mind-blowing moment of clarity. And I would learn things about myself every single day. And then I would bring those things, be excited to bring those things to our calls weekly, and then have that validation and that empowerment to keep moving forward, even when it was really, really hard. Having that coaching, that live coaching, made all the difference for me. You know, I don't know. There's just no excuse really. Like if you think you need this, then you probably do. You know? Probably.
Right. Yeah. Right. And listen to that version of, like, there's a reason why it's there. Like listen to that part of you that's wanting change. Like, I think so many times as women, we don't honor our desires. We don't honor like what we really want. And we just want to stay comfortable. But there's a part of you that isn't comfortable. There's a part of you that wants change. And it's when you do listen to that, and when you tend to that version of you and you give it care and love, you become somebody you never thought you would have ever been.
That's right.
And I love that you're the example of that, Milena. I love that you not only shifted mentally, emotionally, and physically, but you're just this example for other women out there that, yes, it's totally doable. It's totally possible. No matter what your past was, no matter how intertwined your relationship is with sugar or what you went through in your childhood, like, it's possible for you to change.
Yeah.
You went through a lot of hardships in your childhood, and I'm so thankful for you for sharing that. But yeah, I know people who go through traumas and they go through a lot of struggles, and I love that you're showing people you don't have to let that keep you, where you don't want to be.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like I didn't know food was holding me down. I thought it was empowering me, but really what I came to learn was that it was control. Food was controlling me. 100%. It was not empowering me at all. I was letting it control me.
Right.
Because that felt safe. That brain needed challenging.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, it was really scary. But again, if you don't think you can do it alone, this is the help. This is the help that you need is the coaching program and the group and someone who clearly knows what they're doing and can walk you through it and hold your hand and make you feel safe when you don't. Yeah, definitely finding that autonomy, that power in yourself. I didn't have all the answers when I started. I had no idea where it was going to take me, but I have no regrets. I would do it again tomorrow. If I could go back and do it again, I would in a heartbeat. And I highly recommend doing it for anybody. I mean, this program again is transferable to any area of life. It's wonderful that it tackles food, but I feel like you can learn so much about yourself. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Milena. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. I'm so proud of you. And I was wondering, just for anyone listening, just because I want to also support women entrepreneurs, where can people find you if they want to know more about you? And, if maybe they're interested in having a brand design update or what is that? Like,
sure.
how can people find you?
Thank you. I appreciate you two so much. I just want to say thank you for all the time and effort you put into me personally over the coaching program. It was nice. It felt like a warm hug, like every time we got on a call. Yeah, I felt immediately at ease and at home, and I'm just so happy to have met you. This is such a nice experience.
Oh my God, thank you. Of
course.
Amazing.
I am on Instagram at New Breed Milena, Milena is how you say my name, and or newbreed.design is my design studio. And my gym, if anyone's curious to check it out on Instagram, is Boss Thai Boxing. That's Thai as in Thai boxing, Thailand. So BOSSTHAI boxing. So yeah, just check us out. We've got lots of videos. You can watch our classes and stuff. It's pretty fun.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Everyone check out Milena's website. Like, she is a boss at not only like Muay Thai, but also like her design, like her website design. Like, she's just amazing. I don't know.
Thank
I
you.
looked at her clients, like websites that she helped with. I'm like, I don't know how the heck she did this. This is crazy. But anyway, check her out, you guys. I'll post her links in the YouTube channel here in the description below. But anyways, thank you so much, Milena, for sharing your story, for being an example of what's possible. And
thank
you being here.
Thank you for your growth. Thank you so much for your helping hand through this. It was amazing.
Of course. Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time.